Hi, Evelyn Bonzwell here. I'm answering the last question for our class. It is, what important goals and objectives for students studying to be educational and school psychologists? Or what are important goals? Sorry. Um, First looking at this question, I kind of thought to myself, like, as a student, I should probably go to our website and see what kind of goals that Texas Tech has for us up on their website. So I went to the educational psychology department with the school psychology specialization because that's what I'm getting, the PhD. And I found that looking at the Texas Tech University website for educational psychology, this program emphasizes the design, implementation, and investigation of evidence-based prevention and intervention practices to address student learning, social emotional development, behavior performance, instructional methodology, school practices, classroom management, and parent training among young children, school-age children, and students in post-secondary settings, including those from culturally and linguistically diverse backgrounds. So that's a mouthful. That was a direct quote from the website, and it pretty much just summed up everything I'm going to talk about. But I mean, it's a pretty good little goal statement. The program website also offers the National Association of School Psychology (NASP) outline of what school psychologists should do, and it's their little excerpt too, and I'll just read it to you. School psychologists help children and youth succeed academically, socially, behaviorally, and emotionally. They collaborate with educators, parents, and other professionals to create safe, health and supportive learning environments that strengthen connections between home, school, and the community for all students. So that's a pretty good one too. And I think those kind of intertwine with each other. Lastly, the program outlines the credentials that are necessary to become a school psychologist. So these are bigger goals that we need to reach as students to even be able to do any of the other things that we need to be doing as school psychologists. So first, you need to get licensed. You need to be licensed special. You need to be a licensed specialist in school psychology, LSSP. And that includes getting your licensure through the state of Texas by the Texas Board of Examiners Psychology. TSPED? I don't know how to say that. TSPED? Yeah. With a PhD in school psychology specialization, the recipient is also eligible to apply to NASP for the National Certified School Psychologist NCSP credential. I mean, I had heard about the LSSP one, but I didn't know about the National Certified School Psychologist. Well, I guess I had in passing, but it wasn't a specific thing that I was working towards, and it was good to see that on there that I could also get that with my specialization. And I probably should get it because you should get as certified as you can to be as prepared as you can out in the field. So that's what I was looking at. And then I went and found some program goals and competencies from a different university. And this university kind of lined them up in 9 different main things that they're going to teach you in this program. And I really thought it was useful because they didn't, even though this university that I got it from is in a different state from us, it's using NASP and APA, which are national organizations that we all use to make this list. So I think it's still useful for us to look at it and have a more detailed summary of things that we should be striving to do in schools. Okay, so this department, it was the Department of Educational Psychology at the University of Minnesota. University of Minnesota lists 9 main goals that are needed in their credentialing according to APA standards. The first is research, the first of the 9, and being able to show independent ability to formulate research and other scholarly activities, conduct research, and evaluate and distribute research or other scholarly activity via professional publication and presentation at the local, regional, and national level. I mean, personally, I do a lot of research, so I see how that could fit into. I mean, where school psychologists are research-based and practicum-based. So we do both, and I think it's important to mention that. Firstly of all, because you also do need to do your dissertation, and There's other things that you don't realize that you have to do in this program, like you have to go to a convention and like do a paper of some sort, which I'm working on right now, like to also get the PhD. So it's good to look at stuff now and like get involved with as much research as you can. That's what I'm doing, at least. I don't know. Next, of course, are the ethical and legal standards, which are examined more thoroughly below. I'll talk about it later, through NASP and APA principles of psychologists and the codes of ethics. Excuse me. Ugh. Okay. Third, there are individual and cultural diversity, where students of the program need to demonstrate their understanding of how their own personal and cultural history, attitudes, and biases may affect how they understand and interact with people different from themselves. That one's really important, and I feel like I didn't see that anywhere on... Well, of course I saw it, but I didn't... It was kind of like, not an afterthought, but it was like jumbled up in between other stuff when I was looking through the ethics. Well, not the book. I looked through some NASP ethics, and I thought it was weird that they didn't mention it more. Or maybe it was just a section I was reading. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. But I did like that they put it third, and that's super important, especially in school psychology, because a lot of the children we work with are not going to be, minorities, or in poverty, or, so if you have biases towards these kinds of people, or there's a certain type of person that you have like I don't know, it's bad, and you, not bad, but like you need to realize it and hinder it when you're with them, so that you are giving everyone equal treatment when you're helping them. Fourth, professional values and attitudes are important goals of school psychology students. The main goal revolves around behaving in ways that reflect the values and attitudes of psychology, and this includes integrity, professional identity, accountability, lifelong learning, and concern for the welfare of others. The fifth one is communication and interpersonal skills. It includes the development and maintenance of effective relationships with a wide range of individuals, including colleagues, communities, organizations, supervisors, supervisees, and those receiving professional services. I like that they listed all of those people, because you don't really think about like colleagues being included in that. Like, you'd think that they were mostly talking about like clients or students or all the stakeholders in that situation, but like, you need to be respectful of people that are your colleagues as well, and you need to be professional, and I like that our ethics state that. Sixth, assessment is vital to students learning in school psychology. I know personally that was one of the first classes I took, was assessment, or no, not assessment, IQ testing, and then after that was assessment and decision making. And I'm glad that they put those two first, obviously, because you need to, that's like the basis of what we're doing. So if you don't have like the skeleton to build on, it's hard to get things going. So this includes selecting and applying assessment methods that draw from the best available empirical literature and that reflect the science of measurement and psychometrics. So this basically includes you going through the psychometrics portion of any measure that you're giving and making sure that it's reliable and valid. And also just reading through and making sure that you know the standardization, because that's very important in giving assessments. And it's something that sometimes can be overlooked, and it's unethical, because you need to be giving that student the best chance to do as well as they can on that assessment. Or just on that measure, because we have other measures, like not just assessment measures. Okay, after assessment comes interventions. Interventions include establishing and maintaining effective relationships with the recipient and developing evidence-based intervention plans specific to service delivery goals. So that's kind of what we talked about, when was it? 2 questions ago? That evidence, No, it was 1 question ago. The evidence-based interventions are very important. I mean, it's in our ethics. We need to be doing it, and obviously it's correct. 8th comes supervision, which involves demonstrating knowledge and supervision models and practices and applying knowledge directly in psychological trainees. And lastly, there's consultation and interprofessional skills. This is the demonstration of knowledge and respect for the roles and perspectives of other professions and consultation models and practices. So yeah, I mean, I feel like that one goes without saying, but you need to be professional. So like I said, these are from another state, but these are through the APA and NASP guidelines, so I thought they were still pretty prevalent to what we are doing. Looking through these 9 goals, they seem pretty parallel to what we're doing in Texas, at least the ethics that we have been learning in Texas, so that's good. But I'm gonna go through a little bit more of NASP now. So, to answer this question, I thought that I needed to consult with the National Association of School Psychologists, NASP. NASP's mission is to accomplish appropriate evidence-based education and mental health services for all children. According to NASP, a school psychologist offers effective services to help children and youth succeed academically, socially, behaviorally, and emotionally. So I read that to you earlier, and that's where this little snippet that I read you from Thomas and Grimes, Model for Comprehensive and Integrated School Psychological Services, is from NASP. Like, that's literally what they said, and it was cited in our website, so I like that a lot. They also deliver straightforward educational and mental health services for students, and also works with parents, educators, and other professionals. They also use effective decision making using a foundation of assessment and data collection. It's kind of what I've been saying. One of the key foundations for all services by school psychologists are understanding of diversity in development and learning, research program evaluation, and legal, ethical, and professional practice. All the above listed foundations are what we have been discussing in the whole class. Like, this is stuff we've been learning since the minute you hit this program and this class. NASP claims that school psychologists are licensed by the state education agencies or other similar state entities that have the authority to regulate and establish authorization requirements for professional practice within public or private schools or other educational settings. So that was NASP. I went into more detail, but I don't have a lot of time on this video to read everything that I wrote. So one thing I will read, one of the big ethical codes of conduct for school psychologists is to respect the dignity and rights of person. I like that a lot. School psychologists engage only in professional practices that maintain the dignity of whom they work. I like that because I feel like there's not a lot of jobs that force you to do that. Well, don't explicitly say that you have to treat everybody equal. And with the day and age that we're living in, that's something I value anyways. This means that school psychologists are aware and respectful of the autonomy of persons and their right to privacy and self-determination. This also means that they treat everyone fairly and justly. Therefore, using the correct terms when engaging with all stakeholders is important to school psychologists' ethics. So there's like specific terms that NASP defines for you so that you don't get confused and everybody's using the same terms. I think there were like client, child. They define child and who should be called a child, which I thought was good. What else? Sorry, I have them listed here. I just don't want to read all of them off. Assent, that's very important, and we talked a lot about that in my ethics class. Advocacy, and what that means for school psychologists and what you should be doing. And school-based practices, which I thought was weird that they had to define that, but because we're school psychologists. But no, that's good. I'm glad that they're giving like straightforward definitions. So yeah. So, and then I went to my ethics and law book, and I kind of went through, and I was skimming through what I've already highlighted, and this one kind of stuck out to me because it was one of the first things that I read as learning in this program, and I think it's very important. So according to the Ethics and Law for School Psychologists, as school psychology practitioners or graduate students in training, there are desired ethical competencies that we should be aware of. To start, school psychologists need to be aware of their actions and the positive or negative implications that they have on others, and vigilant towards the ethical parts of our job. So I'm just going to list all of these off to you. This means that school psychologists should not be so quick to diagnose children with disorders or to underdiagnose a child and say they don't need help when they might just be having other problems. School psychologists need to make sure we thoroughly think through ethical dilemmas as stated above, because there are life-changing decisions that could affect this child and the rest of their life. Practitioners need to know the laws, professional standards, codes of ethics when working with clients. Being proactive about ethics can help to anticipate and prevent certain situations from happening rather than being reactive after ethical situations arise. And that kind of reminded me about what we were talking about with the ecological and medical model. Medical model kind of just waits for problems to arise, whereas the ecological model looks more at the surrounding environments and tries to preemptively help a situation before it manifests itself. So that's good. I think that's good to be preemptive. Being proactive. Okay, sorry. School psychologists make sure not to evaluate anyone who have biases towards. It could be a coworker's son, or even biases they have against certain people. So that's kind of what I was talking about before. That's literally one of the competencies that we have to have, and you need to know all your biases. Competent practitioners also look at their ethical levels in case and showcase their ability to reason about ethical issues and use the problem-solving method. School psychologists need to be aware of cultural groups and the difference in values and standards as compared to themselves and notice biases they have. Again, there's those biases, and I feel like that's super important for what we do, especially with all the diversity that you're going to be seeing in these students. It's very likely even if you have very subconscious biases, you have them and you need to be aware of them. And it could be something as little as oh, this person looks like my aunt, so she reminds me of my aunt that I don't like. But you need to be aware of that, and when you're triggered, you need to say, oh, but that's not my aunt. I need to treat this person equally as I would treat any other mother. On that same note, school psychologists need to be vigilant about their personal feelings and beliefs, such as religion, and how these could affect their professional opinions. School psychologists should not just do the minimum amount required from you according to the ethics and law. Ethics involve very complex decision making, so school psychologists should be flexible and realize that there may be more than one outcome or solution to the problem at hand. Competent practitioners accept responsibility for their actions. I like that a lot. I feel like you should. I don't think that should be explicitly said, but that it is explicitly said is good. That you need to accept your responsibilities. And the flexibility part, I feel like that's been said across the board, that every student is different and you need to be flexible. So that's what I have for our main goals. It's been fun. Last video. Thanks, guys.